several people are speaking to you because they're not playing at the same frequency in each ear. So it may sound like someone's talking to you and saying, it's time for you to know that you are your best you and you can really tap into yourself. But while that's happening, it's almost like a cannon. My music self comes out around where someone is singing a song and then someone else comes in and starts singing right over it. It's the same words, but you're hearing them differently because they're now blending together. That is what we're talking about with these hertz being played at different frequencies. So according to the alternative medicine or the metaphysical medical community, if you hear this 10 hertz difference, your brain waves will increase to this 10 hertz too. So your brain starts to blend together because there are different frequencies. And it is said that the binaural beat that you hear can induce a certain state of mind, which is what we've been talking about. And they're similar. These binaural tracks are similar to white noise generators. So you guys that have those cool wave radios by your bed where they play all the cool sounds, this is a similar state that you're getting into, except what you're missing with those radios, some of you guys are using them to help you sleep, but what you're missing with them is the words that are kind of being seeded into your spirit. You're just hearing noise, you're hearing birds in a forest, you're hearing the ocean waves, but it helps you to relax. It takes you down. It helps you to meditate, get into a meditative state. So I really like the binaural tracks combined with the sounds of water or a little background myself. Most of the YouTube tracks are either about 30 minutes or about an hour long, and you can commit to finishing a certain task always within a half an hour or an hour, and take your headphones and you just switch it on. And it's just kind of a trick that you are playing on your mind, but one that I think you should try and see if your life doesn't improve, especially your productivity when you're using these tracks. So in a nutshell, when the tone is in the left and the right channels, like I was talking about your earphones, your headphones, your brainwave activity is changing. Your brainwave is mimicking the different tones, and you become more relaxed. If the binaural beats are at the same frequency of a hypnotic trance state, you're taken into the state. And so what happens, and so I want to walk you through exactly what to expect. Now you know why I like them. Now you know what they are scientifically. Let's talk about what happens when you're actually getting into them. In the induction, to aid a progressive relaxation, it's very important for you to start off in your beta or awake frequency. So you're up. Right now, if you want to go plug in a binaural beat, you're in a beta frequency for a few minutes. And then over the course of 10 to 15 minutes, this induction frequency is changed, and it is able to reflect the theta state, which is related to deep trance level. So in the session, once it begins, the binaural beats are slowly increased to alpha or normal hypnosis. Alpha equals normal hypnosis for a period of a few minutes. This alpha and then theta pattern cycle is done until the end of the session. So you're going through alpha and theta. It is believed that since you are naturally in a rise and fall, your level of trance during the session is better, and it is able to help you better follow the natural cycle at a deeper level. So you'll be guided through, and you will have that moment where you're asked to tap into a confident memory, and then the person that I listen to is a gentleman, and he begins talking, and he's saying all kinds of magical things. And even when I'm writing, sometimes I'll notice myself writing down one of the things that he says, like, you deserve health today, or whatever the case may be. And then I'll tune out again and start back writing whatever is coming from my spirit and soul. But he's definitely kind of interweaving between my thoughts and what's happening in my writing, and I'm really starting to take in and ingest the message. And then you do that for, let's say, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. Then you have the wake-up procedure, okay? 2 minutes before your session ends, the binaural beat frequency begins to increase, and that means it's more, and you really do notice it. It's amazing. And it's kind of like if you've seen people be hypnotized on stage and they say, and now we're coming back, and they start snapping and they're counting down. That's not as dramatic as it's happening in the binaural beats, but that same sensation of like, oh, I'm awake again. This is interesting, or I'm back to my beta state. the awake state. So 2 minutes before the wake-up procedure starts, the frequency begins to increase, and it brings you back to a conscious or a wide-awake state. Now, this is not required at all, because simply opening your eyes will do this, because, again, you're not under deep hypnosis, even though that's what they're saying here. I find that I'm able to just open my eyes, but there's something that happens. My heartbeat quickens a little bit, and I notice, like, oh, okay, here we are, back to life. I'm done with my session. And it just really helps with your level of alertness, and that's why they kind of do that. So the benefit, really, that they have over other forms of self-hypnosis or meditation is your hemispherical synchronization. Science, guys, hashtag science. Hemispherical synchronization, meaning basically they help the two sides of your brain work together more harmoniously. Both sides of the brain have to work together in order to produce that sound you hear, and that means that you're tapping into the right and the left side of your brain, and you are fusing them to become your best and better self. And that is what we are always striving for, is to become our best and better self. So I would encourage you to really, really give these binaural beats a chance. Search YouTube, do your own research. Like I said, hit me up on Facebook if you're interested in knowing what I'm listening to. And know that you can absolutely find yourself in an incredible space within a matter of minutes that will have lasting effects throughout your day, throughout your week, and what I'm realizing is throughout your life. So that's one of the ways that your life is saying, can you hear me now? Literally, by listening to binaural beats, you are hearing now the truth of who you are. You are tapping into the truth of it. You are listening and awake to the messages that your deep self, the self that's never been broken, the self that's never been hurt, the self that knows that infinite possibilities are out there for you. You're tapping into that place. You go past all of the muck and all of the mire, and you get right to the core of your human spirit, that essence that always wants to thrive and knows that it can. I call it your eternal 3-year-old. As a preschool teacher, one of the things that I learned in early childhood education is that we really form our personalities by 3 to 4 years old. And we really essentially are the people that we will be. Whatever things happen to us after that, we may adjust to society and to our tribe's influence. But our personalities are really formed. And I never noticed it more than working with those 3-year-olds who were these incredible little people. And anything was possible. They had no self-doubt. Their confidence was amazing. They spoke their mind, whether it was rude or happy or funny or not. They told you what they felt. That is the place that we want to get back to in our meditations. Not necessarily to be 3, but the purity of that child that is sure. They remember why they came into this earth, and they remember their purpose, and it isn't clouded by the litany of stuff life throws at you. That is what happens, I find, when I'm listening to my binaural beats. Now, one of the other ways that our life is saying, can you hear me now, is through our body. Louise Hay has an amazing book called Your Body Can Heal Your Life. It's very extensive, and she has an extensive list in this book. And it is, I would say, the book that anybody that is believing in metaphysical stuff or spiritual stuff, period, listen to this book. You can listen to it on audio as well, but also you can read it and purchase it via Hay House. She is the founder of Hay House, this publishing company for spiritual people, really, is what it is. The list is so extensive, and let me tell you what it means. What she does is she goes through and she lists all of the ailments that could be happening with your body, and she really gets into why they are being caused from your spiritual life, how you may have attracted it or developed it for your body to speak to you and your mind and spirit to speak to you about what's going on. So before we get into that fully, I want to tell you a little story about a couple that I recently worked with. Now, they had thrown their back out within a week of each other, and the wife was a client of mine. She reached out to me for help in other areas of her life. And as we began to do our work, some of the financial issues that they were going through emerged. And the interesting thing about these issues is she did not vocalize them to me with her words. Instead, she mentioned in an offhanded manner that her and her husband had not been feeling well. And when I probed, she said, well, it's the darndest thing. We both have thrown our back out within days of one another. She shrugged it off as just a coincidence. But, guys, this is where it gets good. After years of helping my clients identify and connect with physical issues, I knew that there was more going on. And after years of studying this awesome book by Louise Hay, I knew that there was more going on. Back issues often represent support of life. Back problems, rounded shoulders means you're carrying the burdens of life. According to Louise Hay, you're feeling perhaps helpless and maybe hopeless. Lower back pain, this is where they were having their pain, represents fear of money or lack of financial support. Mid-back pain is guilt. All in that stuff back there, get off my back, relationship things. Upper back pain, lack of emotional support, feeling unloved, holding back love. So, as I had began to study the work of Louise Hay, she talks about these things in great detail. One of the things that she talks about is abscesses. So she starts from A to Z. I mean, it's a comprehensive list. So abscesses relate to fermenting thoughts over hurts or slights and revenge. She talks about breath and how it represents the ability to take in life. And breathing problems represent fear, not trusting the process of life, or getting stuck in childhood, or fear of taking in life fully. She goes from bronchitis to bruises to bulimia, which actually is about hopelessness and terror, a frantic stuffing and purging of self-hatred. She talks about burns and calluses. Calluses, you would think something as little as a callus, she documented. Yeah, that's about hardened concepts and ideas. It's so funny. It's about fears being solidified. It's so funny how our body literally creates things that are a replica. She talks about everything from cancer to candida to cellulite, which, ladies, the cellulite was fascinating to me, stored anger and self-punishment. So upon hearing this, you may think, well, these things are just body aches, and they're things that are part of life. But the truth is that our body is always speaking to us and trying to get our attention. And that's what I was talking about with this couple. So I recommended that they curb their spending. I mean, basic stuff, okay? I said just curb your spending. And what the most important thing to me seemed to be is that you need to have a real conversation about the emotions that you guys have that are connected to money. And the gentleman had a strong belief system that only bad people had money, like rich and powerful conglomerates, because he had watched his father lose a job because of big wigs, and he just had this attachment. And you remember his father saying, these greedy corporate blah, blah, blah. So this was his childhood attachment to the idea of money. So he punished himself by self-sabotaging efforts he made to earn the money. Even if he had a big payday as an entrepreneur, because he was an entrepreneur, he would spend it wildly because he felt that he had like this great guilt about success and all the luxuries that it afforded him, because to him, his father said, this makes you bad, and so he believed it is truth. Very interesting how our tribe can seed into us beliefs that we carry with us for life. And we never ask ourselves, do I believe this? Is this true for me? I have had to do a lot of work myself about what my tribe taught me and what was my own personal truth. This guy didn't realize that he was carrying a cross for his father, who had since passed, and punishing himself in his own successful life, which was successful and thriving, because he thought that he was becoming one of the bad guys. His wife felt like she didn't want to burden him. And at the time, they were going through this transition. She was, especially from full-time employment at a bustling company to being a stay-at-home mom. And she felt this great guilt, she expressed to me, about going to her husband for assistance with the bills. She also didn't like feeling like she had to justify her necessary spending for the household, because she wasn't used to asking permission. And any ladies that have ever been in this position, or gentlemen even, understand that this is not necessarily the most comfortable place to be. It was especially hard for her because she'd never been in that position in her life before. She knew that being home was an amazing gesture for their child, and even for herself, because she was really talking to me about how she felt like she was growing and she was getting so much done, and she had plans to start up a home business. But she was in this period of limbo.